Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, it's Arsh Ellahi. It is Sunday evening, the 30th of May. Hope you're well. It is 8 o'clock, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about a topic which I've been doing extremely well from the last 16 years. It's about pretty much flipping property, and I'm going to show you tonight how you can do it with no deposit, no real experience required, no problem, and how you can flip property, no money down, made easy. Now, just want to quickly, first of all, say hello to everyone that we've got online. We've got a lot of people online. It's a very popular topic simply because of the ease of entry. So no money required, no experience required. All it takes is will and determination. Now, just so that I know that we've got everyone online and you can hear me clearly and loudly, would you mind just saying, is that of interest to you? And if you wouldn't mind saying hello, that'd be great. Okay, so far we've got Dave Wilson, we've got Nicola, we've got Ulf. Hi Ulf, how you doing? Daryl, Stuart, Adrian, and a lot of others. David, Phil, Fleur, Ron. Hi, how are we all? Right, okay. Hopefully you're going to enjoy the next 60 or so minutes because we've got a lot of content in there. So we're going to move straight on because there's a lot to cover tonight. So again, hi, and thank you all for logging in. It's going to be a lot of content, so hopefully you've got pen and paper and a glass of water with you because there's going to be a lot of breathtaking statements made in this webinar. So in the next 90 minutes, what I propose to cover is that you're going to possess the skills to find a range in torrents motivated sellers, how to elegantly negotiate a win-win discount price to buy their house, how to add value to the property without doing a refurb, how to sell the property for more than the market value so that you can easily sell one deal a month for between 10 and 40 grand. So far sounds so good? I hope so, otherwise if not, you're on the wrong webinar. Because what we're going to be covering tonight is a strategy which is one that you don't require the skill, you don't require any funds to get involved in. And I'm hoping that you like the sound of that. So just a brief background about me if you don't know anything about me already. So my name's Arsh Ellahi. I run a group of 12 property companies with my brother Aki Ellahi. Together we're landlords and letting agents, and we've been letting property since 1973. But technically speaking, that's not correct, because the way that it worked is that I didn't actually get full-time involved in property until the year 2000. My father had a small portfolio of properties, and when I left university, after having graduated from the University of Gloucestershire, I decided to look after that portfolio and grow it massively. And now we've got well in excess of 500 tenants, which majority of them are all on benefits, but that doesn't scare me because we've created a system for it. Now we've got a 100% rent collection record, which I'm very proud of, and a very high 98% occupancy rate. So if you've never met me, you never met me in the flesh, but you may have heard about me. I'm on the left-hand side, that's me, and on the right-hand side is my brother Aki Ellahi. Some say that we look familiar, some say that we look the same. You know, I'd probably disagree. I would easily say that I look younger. So a little bit more about me. I'm a speaker, so I travel the country talking about property. So I talk about HMOs. I'm a bit of a rare breed when it comes to HMOs because all my HMOs are fully exclusive. I know it sounds strange, but I pass all the bills back onto my tenants. I've written a Amazon best-selling book called Boom Bust and Back Again, which is on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I'm a property trainer. I teach people how to do all the strategies that we practice and we preach every day. So I'm not just a person that talks about property. I'm a person actually doing property and then telling them what we've done so that you guys can actually benefit from my mistakes so you don't have to make them. I'm a landlord to quite a large portfolio. I'm a property investor. I own a group of letting agencies, and I was featured on a program called Britain's Benefit Tenants on the 30th of March 2015, just over a year ago. So where it all began because I found this great secret, and it's discovered by a broke, when I say broke, 21-year-old student, literally just graduated, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I found a system which allowed me to sell 10 deals a month with a minimum of between 10 and 40k profit on each without buying the property or even paying out for a refurb. Now, I know this sounds like quite a large statement. How could you actually make so much money from a property without owning it? We'll be talking about that shortly. And the reason why I love this strategy so much is just purely because there's a massive difference between being a landlord and being a property investor and a property trader. And I'm going to let you into an insight as to my mindset. Is that I've already got a portfolio of properties, and so I already know the pain that you guys as landlords will also experience being a landlord as well. Would you agree with me saying that being a landlord isn't all that it seems from time to time? There are times where you think, bloody heck, this is hard work, or there's got to be easier ways of making money. Would you agree with me on that statement? And the reason why I say that is because there's a difference between being a landlord and a property investor. Now, investor works on cash flow, and that cash flow gives you time and money and the freedom that so many landlords will never find. Now, that's quite a large statement, and would you agree with me on that statement? If you wouldn't mind saying yes or no, I want to make sure that you guys stay interactive throughout this whole presentation. So, you guys as landlords, do you think that that is the way to financial freedom? Do you think that, buying properties, holding them, renting them, and making a small amount of cash flow from them is going to get you to a point of financial freedom? Okay, so quite a few people are saying yes, a few people are saying no, and believe it or not, there's no right or wrong answer to this because a lot of it comes down to personal preference. So quite a few people say no. Derek says yes. Okay, so Harvey's come in straight away and said long term yes. Okay, so quite a few people are starting to get around to my way of thinking, so that yes. Okay, and Aiden's come in and says, I'm undecided, want to learn more. So I also know that I've got Samuel online. Good to see you, Samuel. Now, let's just use an example. Now, let's just say that in Wolverhampton, we can buy a property for £100,000. And let's say that we decide to let it out on a single let. And let's just say the mortgage on £100,000 is going to be circa around £300 per month. And you rent it out for £550 a month. These are average numbers, which means that you're going to benefit from a cash flow of £250 a month. Or so you think. Now, something to take into consideration is that we've just worked on the assumption that the mortgage is £300 a month. The rent that we're generating is £550 a month. That means we're getting a cash flow of £250 a month, which is it's incorrect, because let's use the example that you're going to require the use of a letting agency. They're going to require a fee. Now, let's just say that they take out £50 a month, which now reduces our cash flow to £200 a month. Now, let's take into consideration that we've got to pay for buildings insurance. Let's take into consideration that we've got to put in contingency for voids, bad debt, and maintenance. Now, after you put all that into consideration, you're going to be left with the best part of £100 to £150 a month, which over a year is £1,800 a year on £150 a month. Now, I don't know about you, but putting in £25,000 of a deposit for £1,800 a year doesn't seem that attractive to me. And it's going to take you the best part of well in excess of 10 years just to make your deposit back. Does it make sense so far? Now, there are other ways that you can do it. You can turn the property into HMO and you can generate a larger cash flow. But the more people that you have in the property, the more wear and tear you have. And I can tell you this from experience. Now, I've got a 23-bedroom HMO. I've even got a 40-bedroom HMO. Now, these don't all, it doesn't all naturally happen straight away, and you do have your issues, etc. But generally, it will work fine, and it will make you a good cash flow. But it's a long-term strategy. Is it going to allow you to get rich today? Is it going to allow you to create a massive pot of cash today? So we're going to go through a few other examples now. First of all, before we go on, I'd just like to say thank you to Sarita. I think hopefully I'm saying that right. Who said happy anniversary? Yes, today is my 6th wedding anniversary. Yes, I did get the look of death, but my wife is very, very understanding, and she knows that I like to give out a lot of content. I like to help property investors all over the world, and I've got a lot of YouTube videos which help people. So I'm doing this for you guys. So moving on, I think this is such a powerful slide, because when we talk about cash flow and why is the time right, I think if anything, the time is right now. Just purely because, using the last example where on a single let is producing £1,800 a month, I don't think you're ever going to get to financial freedom unless you've got a load of properties like that, a load of properties like that. But even then, I firmly believe that you're never going to be financially free until you've paid off all your loans, which means that technically you could have left your job, which meant that you were currently working for your employer, but now you've moved to another job, which means that you're not now working for the bank. So until those properties are paid off, I firmly believe that you've got a ball and chain attached firmly to you, and the bank pulls those strings. So the bank decides what interest rates they charge, whether it's variable or flexible, it's variable or fixed rate. When it's variable, what happens when the interest rate rises? That means that your cash flow becomes less and less. They pull the strings, and you're never really in control of that until you actually own the asset outright. Which makes me then suggest that, are you really financially free? More importantly, can you go and bugger off into the sun for the next 12 months and think, well, I don't have a care and a will, I don't have a care in the world about what's going on back home? Because if you've got buy-to-let properties, if the property's been trashed or if it's been damaged, you've still got to pay for that. Alternatively, you can have it boarded up, but you're still going to have to pay the mortgage. The mortgage company aren't going to say, well, you know what, guys, don't worry that it's been damaged. We'll let you have a couple of months off to get it rectified. They're not that forgiving. They're not that nice. And, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but this is a reality. So the reason why I'm telling you about this strategy is because you don't own the asset. When we're talking about trading property, when we're talking about flipping property, you will not own the asset. We'll be introducing and we'll be talking about it. But before we do that, the one thing that I want to do is I want to ask is that if you were now given all this extra freedom and time, what would you do with it? Now, if you look at the slide there, I've given 3 great examples that are really important to me. So top left hand is my family. Far right hand is a massive golf course where you decide what you want to do, and that's my idea of enjoyment. And then the third one is a massive road. You decide where you go, what you do. No one dictates to me what I can and can't do. So if you wouldn't mind saying that, if we were to give you all this free time and cash flow, what would you do with it? What's the reason why you do it? And that's my question to you. Why do you want to get involved in this? What's the reason that you want to do and why you want to do it? So I'm going to read out the answers. So Stuart wants to move abroad. What I want when I want is what Daryl's come back with. Love to be able to help my parents with money, time with family, legacy for my children. Family is first and foremost. Okay, so everything pretty much is evolved around family and freedom. Buy a retirement property in Spain for the future. Okay, so Samuel's come in and says, I want to show off. Vanity is a good thing, you could say. So Harvey's come here, so I want to make my mom's life better, help my family, travel the world, help my family. So a lot of it is family and travel related, but the key to it is that you decide what you do and when you want to do it. So someone says they want to travel to the Philippines. Believe it or not, if you haven't got the tie, if you haven't got that ball and chain tied to your neck, you could go to the Philippines tomorrow, providing that you've got the money in the bank. More importantly, the strategy that I'm going to be talking to you about in a minute allows you to do that. You can trade property from all over the world. You can trade property in any country of the world. And I'll be showing you what you need to do. So Anne Marie's come in. She goes, I never really thought of property like that. I've got 2 let out and just agreed another one. But you know what, Anne, if it's working well for you, it's great. But I'm now thinking more of, I'll tell you what, I'll answer that in a second. See, for me, this is financial freedom. I want the idea of knowing that I can go anywhere. There's no ties. Yes, I've got my portfolio, but believe it or not, I've structured my portfolio to the point where I know to the minute that I'm going to retire. Now, write this down actually. 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Why is that date and time so significant to me? Because I've structured all my loans so that they will be paid off on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Because come midnight, a minute after that time, I turn 45 years old, which means that all my debts turn to zero. So I've already structured my retirement plan. When I turn 45, I will naturally retire. I've got no ties to any property, and I can go and travel and do whatever I want. But in the meanwhile, my main aim is to make as much money as possible, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to be showing you how you can easily exceed your job salary with property cash flow within the next 3 months. So for those that don't know, I write in a magazine called Your Property Network, which is abbreviated to YPN. I was very privileged to be asked to write in it in, I think it's 2012, 2013. And ever since then, I've been writing in it every month. So here's one article that I wrote, I think in May 2015, calling it It's a Trader's Life. Do I buy it, do I hold it, or do I sell it? Because I'm always of a mindset is that when I buy it, if I was to buy something, do I buy it, trade it? Do I buy it and trade it? Do I buy it, do it up and sell it? Or do I buy it and keep it? And, it's a very much short, medium and long-term strategy, which I'll be talking to you about in a second. Now, you've told me what your why is. I want to share with you a bit of a personal story about what my why is. Now, here's my number one reason why I do the things that I do in property. Now, I've got a very young family. I've got 2 very young daughters. My daughter on the top here is called Anya, and she's 2.5 years old. And I've got my youngest daughter here, who is Isla, and she's just under 1.5. So I've got a very young family. And the reason why I started trading again aggressively in 2015 is because of these 2 little girls. I want to make sure that I've got enough cash flow every month to be able to support me to keep buying stock for my long-term strategy. And I'll be talking about the short, medium and long-term strategy in a second. So these 2 little girls really made me restructure my business in 2015. Here's my second reason why, because last year, for those that do know me, and for those that don't know me, I actually lost my father to cancer last year. So in March last year, he got diagnosed with, in February last year, he got diagnosed with cancer. 3 weeks later, he passed away. And I decided that I didn't really want to work much. I didn't want to get involved or do anything in property because he was my best friend. He was my mentor. He taught me everything I needed to know about property. He gave me what exactly. He showed me everything that I needed to know. And so I decided that I was now going to create a business, which is a short, a medium and a long-term strategy. Now, Eri's come in and said, is this a repeat of last week's seminar? No, it's not. The start of it was, but all the content is going to be completely different. So hopefully hopefully you're going to stay tuned into that area. So when I talk about short term, I want something that's going to create cash flow today. And that's why trading is so powerful. I'm then going to use that to produce some sufficient income so that I can sustain my medium and long-term goals. Now, when we talk about medium and long-term goals, we could be long-term goals could be the buy-to-lets, the stuff that make minimal money, but we will generate in capital growth over a number of years, or a portfolio that we can leave to our children in the future. A medium-term goal could be something like a short or medium-term development that you could do over a 12 to 24, 36-month period, but that still needs money. But we need to generate money today. So we need to create a business for that. And that's what okay, so we're going to keep moving forward. Now, I love this quote because I pretty much use it in every presentation I do. Someone offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it. Say yes, then learn how to do it later. Do you agree with that? So far, you don't know anything about what I'm going to be telling you. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Can you do it? And if you say no, you're in the wrong seminar. Now, I'll ask that question again. Can you do it? And it's amazing. And I love that. David is coming. Yes, I can now. Fantastic. And that's the right man. Yes, that's the right mindset to have. So let's keep moving forward, because now here's where the content starts. Last year, I successfully traded. When I say flipped, I mean traded 140 properties. And now I'm going to show you how I did it. But more importantly, or more impressively, I'm going to show you how this year I'm aiming to flip 280 properties. And we're on target for that. So we're going to show you some of the strategies. Now, one thing I did want to put in this presentation that I forgot is that a famous quote from a person called Nelson Rockefeller, who's who's the owner of the Rockefeller Group. He goes that the secret to success is to own nothing but to control everything. And when you look at it as well, is that when you look at the largest companies in the world today, so look at Facebook, they don't own any content. When you look at Airbnb, they don't own any accommodation. When you look at Uber taxis, they don't own any taxis. But yet they're the most successful organizations in the world, which made me think that the key to success is control and not own. Now, that's quite a powerful quote. Control and not own. And what we'll start doing is, people always say, well, is flipping impossible? No, it's not impossible, because we've been doing it a number of years. And it's not a new strategy. It's a strategy that has been around hundreds of years. And all it is a case of buying and selling and making sure there's enough meat on it for both parties. So what we'll start looking at is, for those that don't know anything about me, I'm going to give you a bit of a history as to how I got involved in this. So when I left university in the year 2000, first I restructured my father's portfolio. Then I started trading properties. So I was the first person in the UK to set up a high street presence business that specifically did trading. And this is my office in Chapel Ash of Wolverhampton. So it's called We Buy Properties Fast. And what we say is what we do on the tin. We buy properties fast. Now, if you go onto my website, it will be closed for tonight. We've purposely closed it on the night webinars because we get lots of people sending us inquiries. And we started trading properties in the year 2000. Prior to the market crash, I was actually trading up to 30 properties a month, which is 360 properties a year. We were the first company nationwide to set up high street presence to give us competitive advantage. And it has given us multiple online and offline marketing strategies which keep a continuous flow of leads daily. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about these strategies. So now, here's a lot of the strategies that I use on a day-to-day basis to generate leads. I'm going to give you this free. So first of all, social media, estate agents, letting agents, networking meetings, bandit boards, football grounds, supermarkets, shops, planning registers, billboards, and my website. So that's 10 of some of the strategies that I use. I think I've got about 30 different strategies that we use to generate leads. Now, here's one thing that you've got to take away from tonight. I'm not going to tell you to go out and put 50,000 leaflets out into your area. That's not what I'm about. I'm a firm believer that if you're good at what you do, you can generate leads just by sitting at your laptop, in your office or in your home. And that's the beauty with trading. You can do it anywhere in the world, in any country of the world. Now that sounds strange, and I'm one of the very few people in the country that will tell you that you don't need to put a leaflet out to generate a lead. You can actually sit on the internet and you can generate your own lead, and you should be the person making the call, not expecting the call. Now it sounds daft, but now you're going to find, well, you're going to say that you're going to show me where to find all these motivated sellers. Now here's a stupid thing. Now, what is a motivated seller? A motivated seller is a person who's looking to sell their property. Whether they're motivated, their motivation varies according to their circumstances. Now, for argument's sake, if you walk into any estate agent, they have a book full of motivated sellers. What their motivation will be will vary according from property to property. One person may need to sell so that they can go up the chain. One person may need to sell because they're coming down the chain. One person may be selling because they're in financial difficulty. Another person may be facing repossession. Another person may be moving country. But the key thing here, and the key indicator, is that they are all motivated in one way or another. And the beauty is that you as a property trader should be a problem solver, so that you can then go off and solve their problem and hopefully trade or flip their property. Because when you look at a property, there's no such thing. And I know for a fact that one of the people that we've got online, a chap called Samuel, I know for a fact that he's a big believer that there's no such thing as below market value anymore. Because believe it or not, you can pay market value for a property and still make it work. Because you can increase the value of that property simply by looking at it in a new form of light. Because when you look at it, let's say it's a HMO opportunity, how can it now be valued? Can it be valued on its investment value as opposed to its bricks and mortar value? Is there a development opportunity? Is there some way that we can restructure the layout? Is there a way that we can title split it? Is there a way that we can benefit from planning gains? Is there a way that we can benefit from creative financing? Is there a way that we can create it into a lease option? Is there a way that we can turn it into a rent to rent? Is there a way that we can slice and dice it? Here's just a few strategies that we can look at. And remember, I've got a number of strategies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some examples here as to how we can add value. Now, for argument's sake here, this property is actually in Darlaston, in Wednesbury, sorry, and you can see the top left-hand corner, it's number 2, the green. And it's this property that we're actually looking at where I've got the cursor running around. And now, for argument's sake, when you look at it, when you look at that property there, what do you see? If you wouldn't mind saying what you see in this just little area here, would I be correct in saying that you see a mid-terrace property? But in actual fact, what you don't know is that it's actually a 4-bedroom HMO that is producing £20,000 a year. Now, someone approached me with this opportunity and they said they wanted to sell it me for £95,000. On the basis that it was producing £20,000, I sold it that afternoon for £110,000 on its investment value. But you've got to understand how to get the investment value and how you're going to make that work. So just giving an example there, all these houses either side of it are only worth around 80 grand. So how did I manage to get it valued at 110 grand as opposed to 80 grand? Worked on its commercial or its investment value, and banks are still lending on its investment value. Now, I'll give you another example, is that for argument's sake, when you look at a property, look at its layout. Does it lend itself to a HMO? Because naturally, HMOs are going to be worth a little bit more than what a standard single let is, because you can now turn it into a cash generating machine. So when you start looking at layout, you're thinking, well, instead of looking at it as a standard single let, you can think, well, in actual fact, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 4 rooms out of this, possibly 5, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, it's got a bathroom there, it's got a kitchen, and it's got a conservatory. When you start looking at it again, how, this is a different property, but how could you do it? How could you make 5 rooms out of it? And how much could that produce? And how much would it be worth now on its new value? Now, I'm going to give you an example here. Now, when you see this property, now, if you've seen some of my talks, this is a property that I own, by the way. It's in Chapel Ash in Wolverhampton. Now, here's a good example. Because I saw this property and it's going up for auction. And I bought it prior to auction for £100,000. Now, just out of curiosity, without knowing anything about it, would you have bid £100,000 on that property? If you wouldn't mind saying a yes and no, that would be good, and also allows me to say that you're still online with me. So we've got a mixture of yeses, we've got a mixture of no's, possiblies, okay, maybe so's. Okay, so Harvey come in and goes, research first is good. How about if you didn't have the opportunity or the time to do the research? Now this okay, so so we've got a mixed bag here. So a lot of people saying yes, a lot of people saying no, some people saying maybe, we'd need time to do research. Now, this isn't one that we do with a trade. So technically speaking, this is one that I owned. So this is one that I bought. But I'm going to give it, the reason why I put this in is because it allows me to share the vision with you. Now, for argument's sake here, so Harvey came in and he just said, looks like a money pit. It probably does, but here we go. So I offered 100 grand on it straight away. And the reason why I offered 100 grand on it is because, now, actual fact, I'm not going to tell you. Here's my building here. Now, I've just given you a good picture of what's happening on that street. Now, you tell me, what's the difference? Why did I offer 100 grand on that building? Okay, other than great location and main road, what else are you picking up on? Melissa has hit it on its head, but okay, so quite a few of you now started to turn into my way of thinking. I initially saw that my building was 2-story and all the other buildings are next to it are pretty much 3-story and above. What happens when you've got, you can add another story onto it? Naturally, it increases in value. So I went off and got planning permission on it. And we had planning permission now granted to demolish the building, build offices on the ground floor, 8 1-bedroom flats above it, and 6 2-bedroom houses behind it. Now ask yourself the question again. It costs 10 grand in planning permission and fees to do that. Now, I admit, I bought it for 100 grand. Is it now worth 100 grand? I sold it for 350 grand. So remember, I bought it for 100 grand, spent 10 grand on it. Cost, it's taken me about 24 months all in all to get the planning permission and all that kind of stuff. I sold it for 350 grand. So is it worth the gain? 250 grand, well, just under 250 grand's profit. And I didn't touch the building. I didn't knock it down. I didn't touch it. But all I did, I had the vision. And that's the beauty about being a trader. It's about understanding what the vision is. When you look at a property from the outside, if you only saw that and someone offered you, told you to buy it for 100 grand, would you have bought it? But in actual fact, there, I had to hold on to it for 24 months. Sorry, I'm just going through some of the questions. But I could have made a lot more money from it by actually building it. But by building it, it would have taken more time, more of my time, and I would have made more money by trading as opposed to building it. And I did very little work. When I say very little work, had to go through some meetings with planners, but I didn't lift a spade or anything like that. It was just purely paper and administration work. And we didn't have to pay business rates on it for we didn't have to pay business rates because we demonstrated that the building was uninhabitable. So moving on, because I don't want you to spend too much attention to that. So moving on, here's another property in Wolverhampton. Now, property that what I'm trying to get your mind into is the way of becoming flexible about now seeing an opportunity. When you see a property, how can we add value? And when we talk about title splits, we talk about planning gains. Now, in Wolverhampton, there was a 2-bedroom flat on the market for 85 grand. It was on the market for 85 grand. I went in with a low offer of 50 grand on the basis that it had been on the market for a while, and it's been been sat there for quite a while, and it's in need of modernisation. And on the basis that they said yes, we actually asked for exchange and a delayed completion for 12 months, which they actually granted us. Then I went in and got planning permission, granted it from 1 2-bedroom flat into 2 1-bedroom flats. So here's my new flats here. So I've got 1-bedroom flat there and a 1-bedroom flat there. I bought it for 50 grand, remember. And now these flats are worth £82,000 each. And by giving me that 12-month extension, it allowed me to go in and do the work. Now, that's great, but remember, it's, again, having the vision. How would you have got that vision? Now, here's one that you can all do in your location. And remember, you don't have to own the property. You don't even have to buy the property. Here's what you can do. Now, are there any 2-bed mid-terrace properties in your location? Now, regardless of where you are there any 2-bedroom mid-terrace properties in your location? Because look at the layout on the left. So we've got reception room, and kitchen, and they've got bedroom 1, bedroom 2, and bathroom on the first floor. All I did with this one, I said to the owner, okay, they were after 50 grand for the house. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the 50 grand on the basis that, or I'll get someone to buy it off you for 50 grand on the basis that you allow me to go in with a bit of, we needed a bit of time to put in planning permission to move the bathroom from the upstairs to the downstairs. And we turned that room that was a bathroom into a 3rd bedroom. Is there any, what happens when you move a property from a 2-bed into a 3-bed? Naturally, the value increases. Would you agree? So we sold it for 60 grand. The vendor got his 50 grand, which means that we made 10 grand on a deal for a property that we never owned, but yet we controlled and did a bit of work to. So one thing we're going to be going through is the different cash flow durations. Remember, all the stuff that I'm generating now is short-term cash. That cash that I can then use for my medium and my long-term goals. My medium-term goals could have been, let's say that for argument's sake, the development with the 6 flats and the 6 houses and the 8 flats. If I was going to build it, I could use all the cash that I generate to do that. And then when I sell that, that could have then allowed me to generate more properties for my long-term strategy. Are you with me? So keep moving on. So when we're looking at flipping, there's 3 people involved. There's the vendor, who is the property owner. There's you, who is a property trader or the flipper, whatever you decide to call yourself. I prefer the term trader. And then there's the third person involved, who's the investor, who's going to be the person buying the property off you. And just to put it in context, step 1 is the vendor, who approaches you with their property, or you approach them with your proposition. Now remember, I'm not a big fan of waiting for people to call you with their properties. I'd rather you be calling them and saying, "Hi, Mr. Smith, I noticed you got your property on the market. This is who I am. This is what I do. Is there any way that we can work together? Or is there any way that we can work together on the basis that I can find you a buyer for your property?" What do you think they will say when they think that you've got a buyer for their property? Naturally, they're going to say yes. What they'll want to do is understand a little bit more about who you are and what you do. Now, step 2 is that you assess the deal. You figure out where the angle is and the profitability, and then you package it in a manner which then becomes acceptable to the investor in step 3. And on the basis that they're happy with it, the buyer or the purchaser will buy the property from you on the basis that the property makes financial and commercial sense. And it really is as simple as that 3-step method. Step 1, keep the vendor sweet. Step 2, assess the deal. Step 3, sell the deal. Source, secure, sell. 3 S's that you need to just worry about. Now, step 1 is the vendor. What's the motivation? Where's the pain? Why are they selling the property? What is it that they're doing? Why do they need to? Are they upscaling? Are they downscaling? Are they moving abroad? Are they facing repossession? What is it? How can you help them? Step 2 is that you now need to figure out a way that you can create a win-win-win scenario. When we put win-win-win, there's 3 people involved in the chain: the vendor, you, and the purchaser. Now, if you can't create a win-win-win, you really shouldn't be doing it, because if you're only creating a win for you and the purchaser, it's not an ethical way of trading. One thing you've got to ask yourself is, how can you make profit without being a busy fool? How can you create the value? And then step 3 is the purchaser. They've got to be satisfied with the transaction, which will then benefit from return of custom. If they're happy with you, they will keep coming back to you. Now, would you say so far it seems quite easy? And believe it or not, it is. Because in short, everyone can do this. I'm just going to go back to some of the questions that keep coming back. Okay, so Gandhi, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Gandhi has come in and asked a question. What if the purchaser then contacts the vendor and then bypasses you? It's a great question, because believe it or not, all my vendors sign a document with me to say that they can no longer speak to any potential other purchaser. So we cannot get cut out the deal. More importantly, if we find that one of my investors is trying to cut me out the deal, I will remove them instantly off my database, which means that they will no longer see any of my transactions or any of my property deals. So if they're trying to do that, they're very short-sighted, because the number of deals that I get to see on a day-to-day basis, they may have just cut their nose off to spite their face. But all my deals are secured via a lockout and exclusivity agreement, which I've had drafted up by my solicitor, and it is watertight. Basically, what it's saying is that whilst I'm dealing with the transaction for that vendor, they can no longer speak to anyone else. So Samuel's come in and says, how do you legally structure the flipping? Does the investor know what profit you're making? Again, this all comes down to detail. There's a number of ways of structuring deals. Now, there's back to back. There's where you take a fee out of the center, and you all have to structure the deal differently. So sorry, someone's just said, can we put the previous slide up? So there you go, Luke. Hopefully that helps. So what if the vendor just takes your idea and puts it back on the market? Now, unfortunately, Justin, they can't do that because when we've got all the agreements signed and in place, and on the basis that we're not spending any money on the property, but all they're doing is, by this point, they would have been in contracts to sell the property. So they'd be pretty daft to try and sell the property if they've already got a property sold. So we'll be going through this in a second. So Barbara has asked a good question. She goes, where are you finding the end buyer? Well, the end buyer is already in my database, believe it or not. I've got a database of just over 50,000 investors, and we sell properties to them every day. So, there's a variety of people. So there's a lot of people in there that want lease options. There's a lot of people in there that want rent to rents. There's a lot of people that want below market value opportunities. There's a lot of people in there that want HMOs. So I know, believe it or not, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work with me. Okay, so Harvey's come back and says, but what happens if you've got no database? But what if you've got no database? I'll go through that in a second. So what is required when you trade property? Hunger, focus, discipline, communication, enthusiasm, dedication, consistency, and self-direction. And you'll notice that I put one in red letters twice. Internal motivation. And the reason why I say that is because from times you will get knockbacks. I'm not here to say that you're going to get everything right every time, all the time. There will be times where people say no to you, but the key to success in business and in life in general is knowing when to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and go again. And make that next call on the basis that that one's going to be a yes. But most of all, you must have passion. And if you notice, all the things that I mentioned there is everything that you use in everyday life. Because to succeed, you have to believe in something with such a passion that it becomes a reality. And that's such a powerful quote. To succeed, you have to believe in something with such a passion that it becomes a reality. Now, property is a passion for me. It's what I breathe, live. Everything that I do evolves around property on a day-to-day basis. And when you evolve yourself around it and you evolve yourself around the right people, you start to succeed. Now, with flipping and trading, there's two parts which are absolute key. And the first one is negotiation. To be successful in flipping or trading, you must be a strong negotiator. And the reason why I say that, because you have to not only negotiate the purchase, but you also have to negotiate the sale. And the devil's in the detail, because if you get the numbers wrong, it will damage your credibility as a sourcer or as a trader. And the second thing is the script. The script is the key. And when we say communication plays a big part here, because no two properties or no two scenarios are ever the same. Now, you're never going to go to two properties day in, day out where they're going to both have been repossessed by the same mortgage company for the same reason. But what we do need to do is understand what the reason is, and then we start to figure out what we need to do. So the key to success in flipping is to find the pain and eradicate the pain. And again, we're not only going to negotiate the purchase, but also negotiate the sale. Because the devil's in the details. If you get your numbers wrong, it will damage your credibility as a property trader. If you tell someone that it's worth 110 grand and on valuation it comes back at 100, they're not going to buy off you again. Because if you then can't get the purchase price down to 100 grand, they've just spent 500 pounds on a valuation fee. Now, I don't know about you, but if I spent £500 on a valuation and it didn't come in as you told me it was going to be, I would be pretty miffed off. So we're going to start talking about this because in the 15 years that I've been trading, I've never had anyone come back to me informing me they've purchased a bad deal because the figures have been correct from day one. Now, how do we create the value? We've talked about this already, but does the property need to be below market value? If there isn't sufficient equity in the deal, how can we flip the property? What are the other options available to us? Can we look at it from a point of view, could it be a lease option? Could it be a rent-to-rent opportunity? Could there be a JV opportunity with the vendor? Or is there an investment opportunity there? Is the property currently underperforming? Now, I know a scenario where I looked at a property which had 3 flats in, and the vendor wanted 70 grand for it. And I happily said to him, believe it or not, yeah, I'll find you someone at 70 grand. Sorry, tell a lie. It wasn't. It's one in my slides, which I'll show you in a second. Property in Liverpool, where it had 4 flats in and it was underperforming. And he said he wanted 70 grand. I found him a buyer pretty much that same day who was willing to buy it off me at £110,000, giving me a sourcing fee of 40 grand. And the key is, as Harvey has rightly pointed out, you need to find the angle. Would you be happy with a sourcing fee of 40 grand for one property? Other angles we need to be looking at, like the property that we've just seen. Is there a development opportunity? Is it subject to plan? Can we get it subject to planning? Can we get a delayed completion on it? Or is there potential to turn it into a HMO? If it gets turned into a HMO, can we get it valued on its commercial valuation? Or will it work on its bricks and mortar valuation? Or do we look on its return on investment valuation? Number of things that we can look at. Now, the average fees that a sourcer or a trader generates, the average property deal would be circa around 5 grand. Small house would be around 3 grand. A larger house or a small HMO could be about 5 grand. A large HMO or a commercial could be 10 grand upwards. And a plot of land could be 30 grand upwards, depending on the amount of deals. Okay, so Mitch keeps asking which banks will lend on its investment value. I'll talk to you about that in a short while. So here's the deal this is one of the most profitable deals that we did in 2015. So it's one shop and 4 flats. It was generating 27,100, which I thought, it wasn't generating that at the start. It was generating the best part of 13 grand. Now, what we did with this one is the vendor allowed us to get a bit of time. When we're saying a bit of time, we needed about 6 weeks to get the property generating the full 27 grand. And we sold the deal for 110 grand. It gave us a sourcing fee of 40k, and it took us a short period of time to do that. We found the purchaser straight away. Here's 4 properties that went into auction in Rice Lane in Liverpool. I don't mind disclosing the details now because the deal's all done. And each of these houses had 2 flats in. Now, the vendor had a mortgage of 53 grand on each property. Unfortunately, the highest it got into auction was 48 grand per house, which means that if he was to sell them, he would need to put in 5 grand per property to sell, plus legal fees, plus all the other costs that come associated to early redemption fees. It would cost him circa 30 grand to sell these 4 houses, which he didn't have. So what we did is we structured a 7-year lease option deal with him where he gets his 53 grand at the end of the 7 years, and the vendor, the person who bought them, will benefit not only from the cash flow in the meanwhile, but also the capital appreciation in the long term. Okay, so Faisal has put, to find these deals, you either need the vendors to come to you via marketing, but how do we go and get them? Well, I've just given you one example there, Faisal. Properties that didn't sell at auction. Is that not hitting you in the face straight away? What do unsold lots tell you? Is there not more of a motivation than anything? Because when someone puts their property into auction, they automatically assume it's going to sell. They never think about plan B. What happens if it doesn't sell? Okay, so David, good to see you online. Firstly, how do you find unsold lots? That's easy. All you could do is keep an eye on the auction on the day. Well, you don't have to keep an eye on the auction. All you got to know is what day the auction is, and then the next day, most auctioneers, well, majority of auctioneers will list what sold, how much for, and what didn't sell. And all you got to do is approach the vendors, the ones that didn't sell, and believe it or not, there's your answer. So here's one. That's that one that we talked about. So it was a 5-year lease option, and we generated £4,000 per property as a fee. So we generated a fee of 16 grand there, and it took 3 weeks to negotiate that. Here's another property in Walsall, 6-bedroom property. We agreed 220 with the vendor. We sold it for 245, generating us a fee of 25 grand. We also managed to negotiate an exchange with a 6-month delayed completion with the vendor, which gave the investor time to go in and renovate the property within this period. Here's a 2-bedroom flat on the first floor in Northfield in Birmingham, which had a 51-year lease, which made the property unmortgageable. We agreed a deal with 30 grand. We sold it for 40 grand that afternoon, giving us a fee of 10 grand. We had to complete this deal within 3 days prior to Christmas last year. Here's another property in Walsall where we did a 10-year lease option deal on it. Now, as you know, permitted development rights allow us to do commercial to residential. And we managed to generate a fee of 5 grand on that, and it took us a week to negotiate that deal. Now, just so that you know, not all the deals that we're doing are in the Midlands. Here's another property in Middleton, near Manchester. It was a distressed property in need of renovation. We agreed the purchase at 120 grand, and we sold it within 7 days for 140 grand, giving us a commission of 20,000. And it took us a week to negotiate, and it took 4 weeks for the deal to complete. Here's a property in Birkenhead in the Merseyside. It's I think it's this property here which has got the shutters. All these properties are all shuttered up and look a little bit beaten up. We agreed a deal with the vendor for 35 grand. We sold it within 3 days for 40 grand, giving us a commission of 5 grand. Now, just on those properties alone there, so we'll talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It netted us commission of 121 grand. Now, John's come in with a great question. He goes, how are you selling property without owning it? Do you sign an agreement with the vendor? That's exactly what we do. Because we need some security to say that once we've agreed the deal, that we don't get cut out the centre. But more importantly, 9 times out of 10, we take our commission first from the purchaser. So first we go out and see the property, then we structure the deal. We make sure that we're secure on the property. Then we sell the deal. Then we get paid. And then we put the vendor and the purchaser together. It really is as simple as that. But I won't introduce the two until I've been paid. Because I'm not running around to be a busy fool. Okay, so Roger's come back and says, why did the Northfield flat need to be done in 3 to 4 days as it has 50-year lease? Anything under 60 to 65-year lease generally, Roger, is unmortgageable. But the reason why it needed to be done in 3 or 4 days is because the vendor was facing repossession and was due to have to, was going to get kicked out of her flat. But more important, we had a purchaser who was willing to do the deal in that time. We could have bought more time via the court, which would have taken time as well. but the vendor was happy. The vendor was happy to move. The purchaser was happy to move, and we made it happen. Okay. Now, 2000. So there's some of the deals that we did in 2015. Now here's one in 2016, and I know that we've got Jax online. Hope you're well, Jax. Just quickly making sure. Yeah, I think I saw you. Hi, Jax. Hope you're well. Here's a lease option that we negotiated with the vendor, and they actually gave us, off memory, I think it's 13 years as a lease option to do the deal. We've negotiated the purchase price today, where we're paying the mortgage at a low amount, and we've sold the deal. And I believe Jack's actually bought it for a fee of £5,000, and it's all in all, Jack's put, as soon as I put the deal out, I think Jack's called me within an hour and did the deal. So it shows you how advanced the guys are on our list. As soon as they see a deal, they know a deal. And Jax came down, had a look at the property, and she loved it. Here's another property in Telford. It's a HMO opportunity where we negotiated with the vendor a price of $124,900, and we sold it for that figure to the investor at $124,900, and we charged them a sourcing fee of £5,000, and we sold it within a day. Here's another property down in Devon, Torquay, where we agreed with the vendor 115 grand, and we sold it for 125 grand, and we generated a fee of 10 grand, and it's taken approximately a month to do that. So the time frames vary from deal to deal. So you can get paid within a day, you can get paid within a month, but the fact is everything is agreed and is all legally committed. And the beauty of it is, this works nationwide. So you've got to ask yourself this. If you're presented with a property opportunity which made financial and commercial sense, would you do it? And if the answer that you've just said is yes, you could have potentially been a potential purchaser for any of my deals. Okay, so I'm just going through a few of the questions. So there are a number of ways that we can secure ourselves. Now, without going into all the legalities, someone's come in and said, do we use an RX1? That is one of the ways that we're doing it. With all due respect, we don't have a great deal of time to go through all the legal formalities as to ways that you can secure a deal. The one thing that I will say is that I've been trading properties for 16 years. I've got a very good legal team who will cover my backside in all eventualities. Now, the agreements that they've had drawn up for me covers my backside, so that should anything happen, or should the vendor try and screw me out of the deal, I've got some form of recall. If the purchaser tries to screw me out of the deal, I've got some form of recall, but the purchaser won't screw me out of a deal because I would have been paid up front for the deal. So technically speaking, if I've already been paid by the purchaser, how can the seller screw me out of the deal? Because I've sold the property at a price that they've requested and within a timescale that they've requested. So you've got to look at the motivation as to why. Now, here's some of the other deals that we're doing in 2015 and 2016. So we've got Leeds, Huddersfield, Manchester, Wigan, Stockton-on-Tees, Cleethorpes, Gloucester, Bristol, Fulham. Now, people say that this doesn't work in Fulham. People say that this doesn't work in London. It works in London more so than anywhere because there's a lot more pain and motivation. There's a very high cost of living, and it's becoming more and more unaffordable to live in London. So there's going to be more pain and more motivation. Bolton, Nelson, Scotland. We did a 26-bedroom HMO Nelson, which is between Burnley and Blackburn. I actually went to see that one. We've done deals in Scotland, Devon, Torquay, Swansea. We've done an 8-bed HMO in Haverfordwest. I don't even know where Haverfordwest is. It's by Swansea. We've done a 8-bed HMO in Liverpool. We've got a block of 20 one-bedroom flats in Barrow-in-Furness on a 7-year lease option. Got properties in Merton, Pontypridd, Birmingham, and so much more. So what about Scotland? So we've got deals we've done deals in Scotland. We've actually done exchange and delayed completions in contract. You can't use an option contract in Scotland, as Donald has put. But one thing that you can do is an exchange and delayed completion, which is legally fine. So Harvey's coming. So how does someone from standing start find a motivated seller and investor with no database to get going with a small budget, as I think you need a large marketing budget? Incorrect, Harvey. Incorrect, Harvey. Hopefully that's 2 or 3 words, depending on how you're looking at it, because I believe that you can do this pretty much from standing still with a very small, well, you'll need a small amount as a marketing budget, but nowhere near as much as you think. And we'll be covering that shortly. So how can we find the deals? And more importantly, these deals are nationwide. So let me introduce you to now a concept called the Elite Property Tribe. So at the start of the year, I created something called the Elite Property Tribe. And what I wanted to do is create the UK's greatest property tribe of property sources. So what I wanted to take a small group of people, we're talking a small group of people, and completely wipe their minds of everything they've known about property sourcing, and I want them to get them into my frame of mind of trading on the basis that you then go out and find the deals with your newly found knowledge. Because as we mentioned before, we know that most landlords don't make job replacing income, and they don't have the passive income that they hoped for. I want to help people achieve their time and money freedom, not only by teaching them how to do it. I'll also be providing them a unique way that they can sell their houses quickly to my investor database that I've built up over 15 years. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to allow you guys to JV with me to sell to my investor database that is consistently increasing. The Elite Property Tribe is the only training company to give you the skill set, mindset, accountability, motivation, ongoing support, and a ready-made platform to sell your deals that guarantees you success. More importantly, being part of the Elite Property Tribe, you also have access to my power team. So that includes my accountants, my solicitors who have created all my documents, my tax advisors, my mortgage advisors, and everyone else that we use in between. I want to create the greatest tribe of deal sourcer machines in 2016. Now, do you see yourself as being one of these machines? Have you got the time to do this? Have you got time to be able to source property? And have you got time that you can make yourself financially free? Because what I will be doing over the next 52 weeks is training you how to find the deals, how to negotiate the deals, and how to sell the deals. So it's not a come on one workshop, and it's not come on one workshop and I'll teach you everything that I know, because it's physically impossible for me to teach you within 8 hours everything that I know. Because normally if you come on a one-to-one mentorship, it will cost you 12 grand for the year. But what I'm also offering you is the JV opportunity only available to Elite Property Tribe members. I will only JV with tribe members who would like me to sell their deals to my database. And I love this picture because I got the idea when I was watching The Wolf of Wall Street, where he took a group of people and he turned them into great stockbrokers. And here's some of the people that I've JV'd with. And these are the guys that found me the deal in Middleton. And we turned it into 8 or 10 bed HMO. We sold it for 140 grand with a purchase of 120 grand. Now, Danny Jones is someone that I consistently do business with. He actually now runs our office in Liverpool as well. He found us the deals in Liverpool where we make a lot of money every month. And Wasim is another guy in Walsall who found me another few deals. Now, being part of the Elite Property Tribe, you are going to be accountable because we've got a Facebook group. We've got a Facebook group, and here's one. Now, Vicky Hughes is a very, very clever young lady. And she joined the Elite Property Tribe. We started actually the education in February, the 1st of February 2016. And by the end of May, are we at the end of May? Yes, we are. February, March, April, May. By the end of May, 4 months in, she's on deal number 6. She's sourced, secured, and sold 6 deals within 4 months. So here she goes. So today's been a good day with a long-awaited deal that fell through, pulled back and signed after some careful consideration and negotiation with the landlord. So deals 5 and 6 in the bag, and sold this week, with 2 more hopefully being secured in the next week. Can you do it? Question is, Vicky came to me with very little property knowledge. All I've done is I've just helped her. Remember, you will be accountable because there's weekly exclusive webinars. We'll be showing new methods to generate deals quarterly. And we'll also have quarterly meetings in person, which is the EPT live sessions. You'll have access to an online portal with all webinar recordings. You'll have access to a private Facebook group for further group discussion, Q&A and support. You've got access to a private WhatsApp group. You've got direct access to me to discuss any deal when they arrive. So Fleur's coming straight away. She goes, how much time do you need to spend on this each week? Now, naturally, the more time you spend on it, the more successful you're going to become. At it. Now, Vicky has now become full time. She was a photographer, so she decided to forget the photography and now become full time. Now, I've got other guys who are doing part time and who have done 3 or 4 deals within the 4-month period. Now, what I want it to do for you is I want you to become a lead magnet that effortlessly pulls in 6 to 10 deals a month using low-cost marketing techniques, such as not going to the auctions, but scouring auction registers, little things like that. But I'll be showing you the 30 methods that we use, how to use empathy and eloquence to find out what's more important to the vendor, so that they thank you for buying their house at a discount. How to dodge the "how much will you give me for my house" bullet that stops most negotiations dead, and how to find out why they want to move. Give them this and they'll purchase. The purchase price becomes an afterthought. And sell every deal that you source in less than 4 days when you JV with me to my 50,000 plus investor database. And there's lots of other things that it will do for you. It will allow you to make promises with confidence to motivated sellers about the speed at which you can sell their house. When you JV with my database, it allows you to shine a spotlight on your deal so that investors are desperate to have it. You'll be amazed at how quickly you can sell your deals when you use our proven tested templates. And what I'll also be showing you what to never tell an investor about the property until they've paid your fee, or the risk of being cut out the process. You'll get all the templates of all the documents, so all the legal documentation that you require when you find a deal, so that you're secure on the deal. You'll know how to build a long-lasting relationship with investors so that they become repeat customers. You'll know how much to structure the deal at, so that you'll know how much is to become your sourcing fee. And not only that, you'll know with rock-solid confidence exactly how to flip houses every month for between 10 and 40 grand without having to buy them or pay for a refurb. I'm going to give one example. There's a chap called, I don't think he's on the webinar. No, he's not. Young gentleman, he's just joined the Elite Property Tribe starting at the start of June. He hasn't actually started the training yet, and he started 3 weeks early. So he said, Arsh, okay, I want to join in June, but what can I do in between? And I told him a couple of methods what to do. He's actually negotiated his first deal already. So he's actually away in Malaysia at the moment as we speak, and he's done a deal over the phone, pretty much going to net him a £4 fee on that. How crazy is that? So moving on. So here's a WhatsApp group. So you can see the Elite Property Tribe WhatsApp group, which is continuous support, people that we're helping every day. We've got the Facebook group, which is a secret. Well, it's a private group. You can't join. You can't join openly. It's something that I have to accept you on, and it's only for Elite Property Tribe members. And you can see some of the guys that are constantly posting in their daily. More importantly, I'm going to give you actually a money-back guarantee, a 30-day money-back guarantee, because I'm so confident that this works. We took 30 people on in February, and a lot of those have already made their money back. A lot of them are still learning on the way, but you've got to remember, we're there for a 12-month period. They're going to make their money back. So within 30 days, you join the Elite Property Tribe and participate in the webinars and enjoy and attend the live event in July. If for any reason, for no reason at all, you're completely satisfied after 1 month, by hopefully at that point you would have flipped some houses and made your money back, just send me an email and that you'd like to leave. I'll personally guarantee that you get a refund. So it really is a money back guarantee. And again, now's your time to shine, because we've already talked about what your reason why is and why you want to do it. But more importantly, hopefully I've shown you a reason why this can be a life-changing opportunity for you. And I really believe that, because what we've done for the 30 guys that joined up in January, starting in Feb, has really been phenomenal. Now in there we've got some police officers in there, we've got some doctors in there, we've got some accountants in there, we've got some taxi drivers in there, and these guys, we had the photographers in there. When we talk about the people that we've got in the tribe already, we've got some phenomenal guys in there that were on some really high salaries, and they're now becoming full-time in property as a result of joining the tribe. Because in the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, and we're not doing another intake for 2016. So now really is your opportunity. Is it really this easy? Now, the one thing I am going to say to you is that you have to spend time. You have to spend time on making sure that you get the deals doing. You have to spend time on making sure that you do the homework. So Paul has come in and says, Arsh, if I do this full time, could I flip 50 properties in a year as a beginner? I don't see why not, Paul, because Paul, if you're the same Paul that I've spoken to this week and you own the letting agency, you're in a prime position to do it. More importantly, as I said to Paul, is that every opportunity that he comes along, he actually has 2 bites of the cherry. Now, if he can't pull the deal in for whatever reason, believe it or not, he's now got another opportunity, another way of generating an income from it. Because if it is the same Paul Rose that I spoke to during the week, and he does own a letting agency, guess what? He could say, well, okay, unfortunately, we can't help you that way, but can we now let the property for you? He's going to make money from it regardless. And it is that same Paul. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for coming up. Okay, so here's what we're doing. So we're giving you the 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you normally came on a normal mentorship with me, it would cost you 12 grand for the year. Or if you came on a course, it would cost you around 995. But here's what I am doing. I've reduced it straight down for a year's program to £3,000. So it's not going to cost you 12 grand. It's not going to cost you 5 grand. It's going to cost you £3,000 for a year. Now, what I am going to do, and I will say this, is that it is starting the first week of June, which actually starts in a couple of days' time. The one thing that I will say is that if you think, oh man, I want to do this, but I don't have the funds straight away, we will break the payment down into 2 or 3 payments only. Now, I've had a number of people over the last week. We did a webinar last week. I had a number of people say, oh, Sean, can I pay you at the end of the first deal? I'm going to break it down. I'm going to say a simple no. The reason being is because I want your commitment. More importantly, if you've got no skin in on the game, why are you going to remain motivated? Now, you might turn around, oh, you know what? Oh, something has come up this week. I can't do it this week. You know what? You've got no motivation to be there. What I want your motivation. But more importantly, I want to turn you into a deal sourcing machine. All you've got to do is very simply, this link here in box number 2, so elite-pt, I'm going to show you how simple it is. Oh, sorry, I'm having a bit of a technical failure. So let's just open up a web browser. And just so there you go. All you've got to do is go to the bottom there and click yes, I want to join the Elite Property Tribe. If you do want to join and you want to pay in 2 or 3 stage payments, you do need to contact me, and I'm going to give you my contact details in a second. As to how we can break that down into 2 or 3 payments. Once you've paid, I will then instantly join you into the WhatsApp group. I will then add you into the Facebook group, and your learning starts immediately. I will then be telling you when our first webinar is. I will then be giving you access to all the documents that you require. And believe it or not, I'm not after a lot of people. So if you're thinking that this is going to be for you and you're going to come back to me in a week's time, unfortunately, the opportunity is not there. We're going to start the first week of June. And that's it. We're not doing it again for 2016. We'll start it again in 2017. But by that point, you've got to think, well, how much does it actually cost you? You know, for the last 6 months, or let's say for the next 6 months, what's your opportunity to earn? How much could you have made in that 6 months? Now, the webinars, Daryl has asked, so he goes, when are the webinars? They are going to be, well, ideally, I'd like to do them during the day, whilst I've got you nice and fresh, and it will be group dependent. Now, if the group can do them during the day, we will do them in the day. If not, they will be in the evening. And yes, they are all recorded, and they are all stored in a central location specifically for Elite Property Tribe members. So just something to bear in mind. Now, Donald says, can I pay now and start in a month's time? Donald, if that's what you would like to do, yes, you can pay now and start in a month's time. Just one thing that I will say is that you will miss the first 4 weeks of content, but that will be recorded anyway and left in the storage location, which you will get access to. So providing that you can catch up, then I'm more than happy for you to do that. So here's what I'm going to be offering you. The weekly training and the Q&A webinars to give you the skill set and motivation that you need to find and trade deals and houses. The access to the online portal with all the webinar recordings, just in case you missed any of them. And we're going to be having the live event on the 2nd of July. And that's going to be in Birmingham. You get the access to JV with me to sell deals to my database. You get access to the private Facebook group. You get access to my private WhatsApp group for further group discussions, Q&A and support. You get quarterly physical meets with keynote speeches from some high individuals, live Q&A motivational network. More importantly, you get access to my power team. Remember, these are guys that have been working with me for over 16 years. They know exactly what I do and how I do it. Now, you don't need to make those mistakes. Why go to a solicitor who doesn't know what you're talking about and then structures the deal completely incorrectly and loses you that deal? You should never be in that situation. Use my power team who are already there in place. They know exactly what you're looking to achieve and they can do it. So Daryl said, what's the exact cutoff for this window, please? The exact cutoff is midnight tomorrow night. We're starting, obviously, at the start of June. So if you are interested, that is it. So Anne Marie is coming. She'll go, so if we get a deal, you give us the investors. Anne Marie, if you get a deal, first thing, ideally, in an ideal world, I'd want you to build up your own database, and I'll be showing you how to do that. Other thing that I'll do is that whilst you haven't got that database, you're more than welcome to JV with me to my investor database. I've got no issue with that. So if you choose to, sorry, Foley's just come in. She goes, if you choose to break the payment into three, when do you start the training? You start the training straight away, Fowler. So the first payment will be due straight away. And providing that you can pay that payment, then you'll start your training straight away. So, okay, so Connor's come in and says, Arsh, is it possible to pay in a number of weeks' time and catch up on the recorded seminars? Unfortunately, Connor, it's going to be a little bit difficult for that because we're starting the intake straight away. So you've got to pay for it pretty much straight away. And then if you can't do it within 6 weeks, then you can catch up on that later on. Okay, so Paul, I've already reserved your place. So he goes, Arsh, obviously I'm paying tomorrow. Just want to know that my place is guaranteed in case people sign up to this evening. Paul, I've already reserved your place. So hopefully, are there any other questions? Now, I'm going to put up my mobile number there. So you've got my personal mobile number if you want to come through to me this evening after the webinar. So if you want to have a chat with me about the proposal or the JV opportunity with the Elite Property Tribe, we can have a quick chat at the end. Someone's just said, can you put up the last slide? So there's the link at the bottom there. So again, what I am offering you is an opportunity for you to actually change your life. And I know that sounds a bit crazy. People always say, well, we're going to change your life. But when we look at all the people that have started in February, how many lives have we changed so far? And not only that, you've got to think is that I'm changing your mindset. I'm changing your mindset into a new way of thinking. And believe it or not, the number of deals that you can generate just by understanding the structure of the way that we do it will give you a completely new outlook to life. Okay, so Cleveland's put, when is the second and third payments due? So if you start and you pay the first payment tonight, your second payment will be due on the 1st of July, and the third payment will be due on the 3rd of or 1st of August. So the 1st of every month. So hopefully that helps. So Sid has put, just for clarification, does the JV with you mean that we split the profit 50-50? That is completely correct, Sid. Yes. Because you're using, one thing that I will be doing is I will be making sure that your figures work. I will making sure that when I look at your deal, I will structure your deal to a point where it is a sellable proposition. As not only that, on the back of that, you're also using the database. So Daryl says, can I have the contact details, please? So Adrian says, contact number again, please. So hopefully, are there any other questions with regards to sourcing and trading? Is there anything that you didn't understand? Is there anything that I can help and answer whilst I've got you? So Mumtaz asks, will you offer interest free on the instalments? Of course it will be. So you're paying £3,000. So that £3,000, whether you're paying one payment straight away or whether you're paying 2 or 3 payments, it is interest free. The amount that you'll be paying is £3,000. Although I like the idea of interest, but no, I'd never go down there. So Sid has come and he said, how much do we need to spend monthly for marketing? Initially, nothing. A couple of things that you do need to do is that we need to get you legally compliant. So we need to get you set up with people like the PRS, so the property redress scheme. Sorry, it's been a long day. So property redress scheme, we need to get you registered with people like HMRC. We need to potentially get your company set up. So you'll need some money for that, because depending if you've already got a company that you're already trading with or you've already got a property company, you can use that. And then other than that, see, I'll give you an example for Vicky, for argument's sake. So the 6 deals that she's done so far, she hasn't spent a penny on generating the leads. The only money that she spent up is setting up a website, but technically speaking, that wasn't required. And she spent some money on some stationery, getting like letterheads and a business card set up. So she hasn't spent a lot of money, but I would put together a marketing budget of around £1,000 a year, which is about £20 a week. So Daryl said, do you speak to the vendor if needed? Now, Daryl, it's a great question because believe it or not, Giresh is one of the guys that started with me. And actual fact, oh man, the one thing I forgot to mention. Wow. So there's quite a lot of questions I'm going to go through. So is that as part of the Elite Property Tribe, should you have a day off from whatever you're doing and you want to come and shadow me for one day in my office, you're more than welcome to. So you're more than welcome to come down to Wolverhampton. That's only available to Elite Property Tribe members. So if you want to come down and spend a day with me in the office, you can see what we do. Or for argument's sake, you say, oh, Shika, I've got a bit of a mental block. I don't know how to do this. We'll work through it that day. So don't be afraid to, that's another added benefit for you. And I can speak to your vendors if required. So, and one thing that I will do, I'm not just going to speak to them and then tell you what I'll say. We'll do a conference call where me, you, and the vendor will be involved in that call. You can see exactly what I say and how I say it, and the reason why I say the things that I say to bring them round to your way of thinking. So Marlon says, do you need a license to source deals? You will need some, when you say a license, I'm assuming some form of legal documentation. There are things that you need to do, like such as join the property redress scheme to become a trader, which isn't, I think it's £97 for the year, which is not a lot of money. When you say a license, I would always suggest that you need some form of documentations to secure your deals, which I have, and it's only available to the EPT members. So Sarita's come back and support. What does delayed completion mean? Okay, Sarita, it's a good question. So let's say, for argument's sake, in a transaction, normally the exchange and the completion they pretty much happen either within 7 days apart or on the same day. Now, when we're delaying the completion, we could exchange today, but we may only complete the transaction, let's say in 6 months' time. And in that 6 months, it gives us a window of opportunity to either go up and do up the property or do something with the property, depending on what your vision is with it. So all you're doing is buying yourself time. So Belly has come back and says, will we need to visit the property we will be working on? Initially, I would say, Belly, that it's a good idea for you to, just for your experience. But the other thing that you can do is that there's a lot of properties that I've traded that I've never ever seen. So I'm not saying that it's essential, but from your learning curve, I think it would be. Okay, so Bayer says, hi Arsh, I'm very interested, but I'd like to pay in 3 installments. Right, Bayer, if that's the case, you need to call me after this webinar. Mumtaz has come back. Another question, is this training all offered online? Yes, it is, Mumtaz. Other than the quarterly meetings that we'll be holding in Birmingham, I think it's generally at the Jury's Inn. So just Sally, Sam's come in and says, so how much has Vicky made? Well, each deal she has made on average around 3 to 4 grand. Now she's on deal number 6. So you do the maths. She's made a working wage within 3 months. Okay, so Lucas Paul, will you be interested to buy deal opportunity? If you could spell that out for us a little bit more, that would be great. Okay. So I'm just quickly going through. So Paula's support, is it best to concentrate on one area at a time? For example, your local area. The best area to concentrate initially on, Paul, is your local area because obviously you've got that local knowledge. I've got to a point where I can actually trade nationally. But you've got to remember, it's taken me 16 years to get to that point. I would want you to conquer your local area first. Harvey, if you'd like to give me a call after this, you're more than welcome to. That's great. Are there any other questions with regards to the Elite Property Tribe? Someone's just put, can we put that last slide up again, which I'm happy to do. What I will do now, guys, is I'm going to sign off for the evening. But hopefully I've given you something to think about. There really is a great opportunity sitting ahead of you. Now, we've already talked about the reason why you're doing it. Now, what we need to do is just get you to that point So if you like the thought of it, feel free to get in contact with me. I am going to be on my mobile for the next half an hour. I'm expecting a few calls. So if you'd like to have a chat, feel free to give me a call. On that note, I'd like to thank you pretty much all very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all. It's been a pleasure presenting to you all. But I'd like to wish you all the very best for your journey. And if there is anything that you'd like to ask me, feel free to call me on my mobile number as attached. Have a lovely evening. Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.